Hi, welcome back. This week we have two topics that we're going to be covering. One is product testing and the other is channel satisfaction. Let's talk about product testing first. Product testing and concept testing are the two parts of new product research. So a new product first, before developing a new product, you test the concept, will it work? And if the answer is yes, the concept will work, then you actually develop a prototype or a product sample and test if the product sample will work as well. Right, okay. So let's go forward with this. So the term product testing sort of suggests, sort of implies that a new product has been developed and needs to be tested out, which is true. A new product has been developed or the new product variant has been developed, right? It need not necessarily be for a completely new product. It can be for a modification in an existing product. For example, a biscuit may have a little bit more sweetness in it, or the detergent may have some extra powder which makes the cloth softer, or a soap may have some extra moisturizing agent, or the fragrance, right? It need not be completely new. It can be a modification of the existing product. Now, most multinational firms who are dealing in FMCGs, and many of the more progressive Indian FMCG firms as well, regularly conduct. In fact, before they launch any new product, before introducing a changed, improved version of a product, they will first test it out in the market. It's a protocol. They cannot launch a new product in the market unless they've done a product test, right? And then they'll have norms saying 70% of the response in the survey must say they like the product, or if they're comparing it with some other product, they will say at least 50% must prefer our product over some other product, or at least 60% must prefer our product over the other product. So they will set action standards, right? The best market research is done when you have action standards set, and based on action standards, they just take a decision. If the product meets action standards, good, it's ready to go for the further development. If the product in the product testing research does not meet action standards, sorry, it's back to the drawing board. It's as open and shut as that, right? Typically, product testing does not involve any brand elements. Most of the time, it is purely product feedback. That is because when you add a branding element to a product testing, it can bias the consumer. So, if a consumer tastes a Pepsi without knowing it is Pepsi, they may have one kind of opinion. And if they taste it after knowing it's Pepsi, they may end up saying something else altogether. To avoid that brand element which affects the opinion, affects the perception, product testing is done normally completely blindly. Or if you don't believe me, let me tell you this example. I probably repeated in one of the earlier sessions. A world famous violinist stood at a street corner playing some of the most beautiful music that only he is capable of playing, and hardly anybody stopped to listen to him, because most people cannot recognize great music when they listen to it. They need to go to a concert, they need to see the board which says, oh, big guy playing, which is when they know it is great music. It is only the truly the music connoisseur who can listen to great music and recognize it for what it is. Same thing happens with consumer products. Most of us don't have very evolved taste buds or so on and so forth. The brand communication is part of the experience that we have with the product, which is why product testing is always done without brand elements. It's always done what we call blind. Blind merely means that the consumer or the respondent doesn't know which product it is that he is testing. Right? Let's go forward. Why do you test a product before launching it? Pretty evident by now. The same reasons why we test an ad, why we test a concept, etc. Product launches are expensive affairs. the quality of the product can make or break the brand or even the company. Therefore, it's safer to ensure that the product scores well in product feedback. Product testing can be blind. Most often it is blind, as I just explained. Blind means the consumer is not told which brand it is from. So you have to take a product from if the customer is giving you the test product, the client is giving you a test product, it has to be packed in a plain form. If it has to be compared with the product which is already there in the market, you have to buy it from the market, take it out of the pack, repack it in a plain form, unbranded form, and then give it to the respondent. It cannot be that the client's product is in a blind form, but the competitor product is in a branded form, because the data is unequal. So both have to be in a blind form, right? Let's go forward. So there are various ways to test a product. This is all right, actually.
Yeah. Yes.
It's all right now. There are ways to test a product. A product can be tested in home placement or in a central location, in which case it's called a CLT. Now, when do we do in-home placement? When do we do central location? So, if I have a product which is ready to consume like biscuit, I will call you to my office and I'll give you a sample of the biscuit and say, please taste it and give me feedback. If on the other hand, if I have a cooking oil, I'll give you a sample of the cooking oil. I will say, take it home, prepare the food with it for 4 or 5 days, and come back and tell me how the taste was. If I have a product like, say, soap or hair oil, I will say, take it home, use the soap on your body for some time, or use the soap on or hair oil on your head for some time, for 2 or 3 days, come back and tell me how it works. So the guideline is simple, common sense. Ready to consume products, you can do it in the CLT. You can also give it home, but it's easier to do it in the CLT and finish it off with one shot. Products that need to be cooked by the lady or require some preparation are generally done through in-home placement. Products that need the entire family to taste, right, in-home placement. Products which require very standardized conditions, like between 0 and 4 degrees centigrade. Soft drinks, for example, is supposed to be consumed between 0 and 4 degrees centigrade. That's the ideal temperature for soft drink.
Things like ice cream, cold drinks,
ice creams,
milkshakes.
Absolutely, milkshake. All this is better done in a central location test, because you can control the conditions better in which you serve the product to the respondent.
What do you do when you have to test products which is not something that they can ready-made have? Say, for example, you want to test jams.
Jams.
Yeah, jam or cheese spread or peanut butter.
Yeah, so jam or cheese spread kind of thing, you can do it in a central location where you spread the jam or the cheese on a slice of bread and you give it to them. That's one option. Other option is to let them take it home and prepare it the way they would prepare it. See, there are merit in both arguments.
Okay.
I personally am skewed towards letting the respondent taste it in the natural conditions when it comes to products with jam and cheese spread. I would say take it home. Maybe you normally have it with bread. Okay. Maybe you normally have the salt biscuits. There are people who do that.
Right.
Let them taste it in whatever condition in which they normally have it.
Right.
I want as close to, product consumer consumption pattern as possible. So that's what I would recommend for that.
But either way is okay. It's considered. Is there any guideline?
Either way is considered okay, but the guideline would be as close to consumer real life consumption pattern as possible. It's a useful guideline. So most researchers, I would imagine, would agree with me and say a cheese spread, let them take it home and come back to us.
But what happens to, especially in a cheese spread, where once you open it, you need to keep it in.
Which is fine. How will a lady of the house do it normally? She will take care by keeping it in the fridge, right? We have to assume that will happen. See, for that matter, even a cooking oil, why would you then not call a consumer to the response to the central location and say, I will cook food and give you? No, you want them to cook food the way they prepared it. The same logic applies to cheese spread. Right? We go forward? The other important thing, product testing can be either monadic, that is only one product. Only one product. I just give that one sample, I take feedback on that one sample and the response. Or sequential monadic, meaning I first give one product, take feedback on that, then I give another product and take feedback on that. So each time I give only one product, which is why it's monadic, but they're given in a sequence. That's why it is sequential monadic. Right? Or there is paired comparison. But let's not worry about paired comparison so much. Let's worry only about monadic and sequential monadic. These are the most common. So when you just want to get one product feedback, you do monadic. When you want to compare your one product with another product, is when you do sequential monadic. So the two products can be both your own variants. I can have variant A and variant B. Or the two products can be, one is my product, the other is a market product. In which case I'm going to buy the market product, repack it in blind form and give it to the respondent. So sequential monadic is the more commonly used method of product testing because there are situations where we do monadic, where we just want to, test out our product and make sure consumers don't dislike it. But there are situations where the marketer says, listen, I'm just okay if the consumer doesn't dislike the product, we'll go ahead. But more often than not, the marketer wants to make sure that his product is at least equal to the existing competition in the market, or sometimes even better, or better than his own existing variant in the market. So comparison is normally the preferred route, which means sequential monadic is normally the preferred route. Right? Typically in a product test, the kind of questions we want are, do you like the product? What do you like or dislike in it? If it is preference over other products, rating on specific parameters. Overall, do you like the product? And do you like it on taste? If it is biscuit, for example, do you like it on taste? Do you like it on sweetness? Do you like it on crispness? Do you like it on, does it, fill your need when you're hungry? Is it easy to digest? Mouthfeel, aftertaste, so on and so forth. And finally, we invariably say, if this product is available in the market, will you buy it? Intention to buy. We saw this term earlier in concept testing. Intention to buy, I2B. Right? There's one more important consideration when it comes to sequential monadic, which is order of product placement. Let's talk about that. Right, so not specifically talked about that here. Let me just mention this here. If I have two products to be tested, and if the sample size is, and if the sample size is 120 people, right, then for 60 people, I will place product A first, and then I'll place product B. For another 60 people, I'll place product B first and then I'll place product A. So AB, BA. Order, this is called order rotation. Now, why is this important? As human beings, some of us tend to say that the first sample we tasted is better. Others say the second sample we tasted is better. And this is, is an inbuilt bias built into some of us. Some of us will exactly be able to evaluate without any kind of such bias in our minds. Now, when the respondent comes into our research situation, we don't know which category he belongs to. Does he belong to he normally likes the first sample better, he normally likes the second sample better, he normally has no such bias in his mind? We don't know. Therefore, to minimize the chances of that bias affecting our study results, right? To minimize the chances of that bias affecting our study results, we enter using order rotation when it comes to product placement. Is this clear? Why we use product placement? Why order rotation? Any questions on this? So when we have 3 samples, for example, let's say the 3 samples are ABC. So for 33% of the sample, the order will be ABC. For another 33%, it will be B, C, A. And for the final 33% will be C, A, B. This will be the order in which we test the products. Okay, so first, these are important concepts to remember in product testing. CLT versus in-home, blind testing, monadic versus sequential monadic, and order rotation. These are 4 very important concepts to keep in mind when we talk about product testing. Okay, so far, let's go forward. Product testing almost always requires quantitative research. We can do qualitative, very rarely done. It's not actually for the product testing. It is done before the test. We can conduct group discussions, exploratory research to understand the parameters on which consumers evaluate the product. Sometimes after the product test is over, we can go back and talk to those respondents in depth saying, hey, you seem to have liked the sample A more than sample B. You've said it's sweeter. Can you tell me more about it? How come you found it sweeter? Tell me more about it. So this can be for probing. So this happens more often. This happens quite rarely. Sampling method is the same for any kind of quantitative market research survey, right? So what we do for advertising testing or any other central location is a sampling method. If it is CLT, if it is in-home, it is the same multi-stage cluster sampling that we already talked about. Right? Okay with the theory? 4 important concepts. Product testing is needed because we want to make sure that the product is good enough to be liked by consumers before we launch it in the market. Point number 1. 4 important concepts in the context of product testing. 1. CLT versus in-home placement. 2. Blind testing. 3. Monadic versus sequential monadic. 4. Order rotation. Right? Let's take a break and come back and see a sample situation and a sample questionnaire.